Yeah, I don't. I was just curious.
Already.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call the meeting of Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee from May 25th to order at 6:45. And Mayor, if you would be so kind to lead us in the flag salute, please.
Okay, thank you. Please follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, if we can have a roll call and posting of the agenda, please.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Here,
Chair McDonald.
Here.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, May 20th in the kiosk outside of council chambers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That takes us to item B on the agenda, public comments on items not on the agenda, but under the purview of this committee. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to address the committee. Please understand that we cannot engage in any lengthy discussion or other activities because it's unagendized, but we can ask staff to look into the matter if it seems appropriate. And with that, Madam Clerk, I show that we have one speaker, Mr. Henry Sapien.
Chair, Mr. Sapien is not available at this time.
Okay, well, we'll progress regular business. If he happens to show up before we're done with the meeting, we'll offer him an opportunity to provide his comments. That takes us to the consent agenda. Item number 1, City Clerk's Department approval of minutes. Mayor, have you had a chance to look at the minutes?
yeah, yes, sir, and make a motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and I will second that motion. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chair McDonald,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Okay, takes us to item D, reports. First one is Housing Department. Subject is Housing Authority, Low Rent Public Housing and Housing Choice Voucher Program budgets for fiscal year 21-22. This presentation pursuant to Measure M was done online earlier, so there will be no presentation at this meeting tonight, but staff is available to answer any questions. And the recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee recommend that the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Oxnard, 1, adopt a resolution approving the recommended $7,175,311 operating budget for the low rent public housing program for fiscal year 21-22 as presented for each project area, and approve and authorize the use of $703,336 of unrestricted cash to fund the project or projected deficit, and 2, adopt a resolution approving the recommended $25,128,842 operating budget for the Housing Choice Voucher Program for fiscal year 21 and 22, and approve and authorize the use of $551,267 of unrestricted cash to fund the projected deficit. And I don't have any questions about this item. Mayor, do you have any questions for staff?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chair. The question I have for Mr. Ramirez is, we're looking at a deficit of 703,000 for the first item, and then 551,261 for the second item. We show a couple of deficits. Emilio, can you share some information on that?
Sure.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mayor and committee members. First of all, I'd like to mention that the deficit that we carry is one that is created by congressional action. So it's not a deficit that is created by a structural deficiency, although it is structural in nature, but it is created by the congressional action. And it's also the reason that we have the reserves that we have in order to cover that deficit. So on an annual basis, the Congress appropriates a operating subsidy for both the Section 8 program and the public housing program. and they identify that subsidy based on a pro rata percentage of the amount that is needed to operate those two programs. In some years, which is how the reserves were created, the amount of appropriation was 102% of the need. In this year, the amount of appropriations is 82% of the need. So they intentionally create this 18% gap. And over the course of time, that 102% makes up for the 18% as we go forward. As right now, we have enough reserves that were created in that scenario for the next 3 years, for this year plus another 2 years. So we have to identify a cure, or Congress has to rectify this continuing deficit. We're working on that cure right now, and it's part of the Rethink and Renew effort that was presented to the Board of Commissioners a few months ago.
So, Mr. Chair, Ramirez, so then consequently, we were projecting, as you said, an additional 2% for this future deficit that was anticipated. And so my next question is, how are we going to be looking for the following year? Are we?
We don't know. It's always different. I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. It's always different. We think that the Biden administration will offer more contribution for housing authority operation than the Trump administration, but we don't really know.
So it's more of it's not a structural deficit, it's more of congressional.
Right.
Folks up in DC. Okay.
It is structural in nature, but it is created by Congress.
By Congress, okay.
Right.
That's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any questions, and I appreciate the explanation, Mr. Ramirez. It's always hard to work through Congress and congressional changes and stuff, but I think we're doing an okay job. So thank you very much for your work. I would go ahead and move the recommended actions.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll call, please.
Chair McDonald,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That takes us to item or reports rather. Sorry, wrong page. D2, Housing Department. Subjects 2021 Annual Action Plan Community Development Block Grant, CDBG money, Home Investment Partnerships, and Health Emergency Solutions Grant Funding recommendations. And the recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety, Housing, and Development Committee recommend that the City Council, 1, conduct a public hearing regarding the plan year 2021 Annual Action Plan draft document with funding recommendations for the second year of the 2024 Ventura County Regional Consolidated Plan, and 2, approve the 2021 Annual Action Plan with final recommended use of funds for select activities that conform with City of Oxnard Consolidated Plan goals as defined in the Ventura County Regional Consolidated Plan for the 3 entitlement grants, those grants being Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Home Investment Partnership Grant, and the Emergency Solutions Grant, to be submitted to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development as prescribed. And 3, authorize the city manager to incorporate any recommended changes to the annual action plan as directed by the city council, including amending any budget appropriations approved by the city council. 4, authorize the city manager to execute the required applications, certifications, and other pertinent documents for the submission of the annual action plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, Office of Community Planning and Department. And 5, authorize the city manager to execute HUD agreements and sign all agreements for the implementation of the annual action plan, including subrecipients, interdepartmental, and intra-departmental agreements. And I think I'm gonna have to order a new tank of oxygen here. And this item was pre-recorded pursuant to Measure M. So there will be no presentation here tonight, but staff is here to answer any questions. Mayor, do you have any questions?
Yes. Mr. Ramirez, at one time when I was with the Board of Supervisors, one of the recommendations, I'm not sure if they followed up on it, that we partner with the county regarding the CDB block grants. Is that still on? Was that ever thought about, or?
Yeah, yes, Mayor. We actually did partner with the county, the city of Oxnard, the city of Ventura, and the local cities in the county of Ventura to create what is a required component of the use of these funds called the consolidated plan. So the county and the various cities have what's called a regional consolidated plan versus an independent consolidated plan. That is in place right now.
Oh, great. Yeah, I know, because that was, this way all the cities are included, which is a lot more, stronger too, right, Mr. Ramirez, too?
It's
helps.
consistent. The
It
goals
helps.
within it are consistent. So, for example, we wanted to make sure that the region was aligned in economic development strategies and homeless strategies and things like that. And so there are consistencies amongst the cities in the county.
So that's good. I remember we talked about that. So that's good news. Thank you. I know this is going to the city council, and this is an annual action plan that bring before the city council.
That's correct. And then before the city council, it'll be a public hearing, and it'll be the opportunity to make final adjustments to the action plan before we submit it to HUD.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. I don't have no additional questions, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Ramirez, it looked like the projections were a little bit lower than what we've usually gotten in past years, but are we pretty comfortable with what we believe we're going to get from this program? I know it's always kind of a moving target.
Yes, in fact, actually, it went up a little bit by $36,000 in the past
Okay.
like week. So we were not able to amend the document in time. But yeah, they range within 5% every year up and down. And we expect that they will be that way. They've been consistent within that range since 1975.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have no further questions. I would move the recommended action.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. A roll call, please.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Chair McDonald.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
thank you so much. That takes us to item E, items for future agendas. Mayor, do you have any requests for future
No,
agenda?
none. No, thank you.
No, neither do I. That will take us to item F. If there's no objection, we will be adjourning the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you all. We will adjourn. My clock shows 18:57 or 6:57 p.m. So thank you all for your efforts and have a good evening all.